right, so let's get to another question from the viewers and subscribers. Now let's talk about dual citizenship and legal ways to protect your money by potentially looking at being a citizen of multiple countries other than the one you were born into.
Okay, look, it's a topic that's been brought to my attention in the last 12 to 18 months, and it wasn't really on my radar. And look, that was really probably part of my immaturity as a financial advisor. I just hadn't had enough exposure to that. We were never in a country where we thought it'd be nice to have some assets overseas. And yes, I'd thought about the holiday house in Thailand and things like that. That was more about, being half retired and things like that. But I've had clients that were in Australia that we've had to wind down their assets, even superannuation, and transfer them and get some transfers over to overseas, different countries, and they've decided that Australia wasn't treating them the way they thought they should be treated, and they're going back to where their parents come from. And I'm talking about Sweden, Egypt, and Eastern Bloc Europe. And the reason has been that they felt that they had more autonomy in those countries than what they were experiencing in Australia. So it's interesting when you're from 3 or 4 generations born in Australia that everyone knows that we're the best country in the world and we're the luckiest country. And that's because we keep telling ourselves that we are that. When you have people that have immigrated over here and then have children here and they have experienced different parts of the world, and then the country starts to go down a direction they're not comfortable with, they don't believe we're the lucky country or we're the best country in the world. They've experienced other countries. So their life experience is very different. And it was very, very confronting for me to go, you guys are leaving Australia? We're the luckiest country in the world. And they're like, we're locked in a house for 23 hours a day. We get one hour of exercise time in a 5 kilometre zone. I'm like, yeah, okay, when you put it like that, I get it. And so what it's caused us to do is look at legal ways that you could have a residence in a different country, assimilating in there, and also some of those residences might lead to citizenship. There is a reasonable selection of countries that will probably treat you reasonably well, as long as you don't take out of their welfare system, right? So what is the criteria for most countries that want to bring you on as a resident? They go, prove to us that you're going to have money sent to you, whether it's from your employer, like maybe you work online, and your employer doesn't care where you work. Great, it's digital nomad something, or you're self-employed. They say, look, show us that enough money is going to come into your account, so you're not taking out of our welfare system. Please make sure you get hospital insurance because we're into it. But other than that, and look, are you a fit and proper person? You're not a criminal that's escaping your country. Okay, cool. You can be here as a temporary residence for 1 year, 2 years, 4 years, 5 years, whatever it is, as long as that money comes in, you can do that. What that means is that eventually you could be like, you'd come and go back to your home country, and every country is different. But in Australia, for example, you need to be, if you're overseas for more than 181 days, and there's questions about your tax residence, but you can get around it. But you might pay tax in a foreign country and do a level up. In Australia, we do a level up most countries, or you might not pay tax in that country at all because you're earning all your money in Australia, like you're working online or something, right? Some of those countries that allow you to do this temporary residence or working visa then allow it to turn into basically a second citizenship passport. You get a second passport. And so that's really interesting, because what could you do with a second passport? You could have real estate because you're a temporary resident or a permanent resident. You buy a second house, you could buy a block of flats. Some of the countries have actual interest rates on their term deposits in the bank that are like 5 and 6%. You go to Ecuador and Peru and those sort of places, they're paying real money to have money in a bank account. Like in Australia, we're paying point something. If you put money in the bank, it's going backwards compared to inflation, right? Real estate is reasonably cheap over there. The reason it's reasonably cheap is that real estate seems to have been stable in most of those countries because they don't have immense amounts of debt on there, because their banking system isn't established, and more property is passed through basically estates and wills. And so families have owned properties for a long time. And so this like trading of houses and stuff with the bank's money that we do in Australia, and it's just our market. In Canada is the same. And as soon as interest rates go up, the whole thing gets a bit wobbly and everyone gets scared. They don't have that in what I would call developing countries, Central America, South America, Africa as well, because they don't have a strong banking system. So what that means is you can probably buy something and feel like it's fairly stable, but those countries will eventually develop banking systems that will eventually increase property assets, especially as more Westerners come in and start to want to own things. You might have gold and silver coins in a safe deposit box over there. You might have some gold in the Singaporean vault with bullion stars. So there's different things where clients are going, look, I just want to go and live somewhere for a while as a permanent resident. I want to work there. I want a new adventure. I want to go live in Costa Rica. I want to go live in Portugal. Portugal is a good example. You just get a work visa for 12 months. What are you doing? Yeah, I'm a digital nomad. What do you do? I work for something, whatever. Okay. And you keep sort of extending your work visa till you get to 5 years, and you basically just sign up. You can speak a bit of Spanish, and you're there, and you all of a sudden get a second passport. So then that really gives you an option. When you're holding two passports in your hand, I mean, this is what clients want to do. So for people out there who've already got two passports, a lot of UK in Australia, like you would already get this, right? It's like you go, well, I don't know if I like the way the citizens of Australia keep voting. I don't like the way the direction of the economy. I think I'm going to hang out in passport B for a while because I'm kind of more comfortable over there, and I'm kind of making a base number 2. And if I want to get back to Australia, then I will in theory. But if Australia says, hey, we're closing the borders, I could probably hold up my second passport and go, you kind of got to let me out. I'm a second citizen. I'm a citizen, no, not second citizen, I'm a citizen somewhere else. The rules say you can let me out. I've got to, you can't lock me in here forever. In theory. Now, we did that during the pandemic. We didn't let people out who were citizens of other countries that were here on permanent residence. I'm hoping that was a kind of a one-off, and that if you had a second citizenship, you should be allowed. Look, Terry, if I had a magic wand, if it was me, I would have Australian passport. I would have a passport that was maybe in South America or even the US, and just because the US, I would like to earn US dollars while it's still the number one currency. And I'd probably have a permanent residency in Thailand. And I'd probably do 4 months. And then wherever, if I was in Costa Rica or Panama, I'd try and have something there with a bit of a little business going. Some people, and I'd try and have a stash of cash, a stash of jewelry, like gold or something, in our house. And that house, I would have an Airbnb while I'm away, but I would have a Costa Rican bank account. And so if something happened in your home country, maybe a smart bomb went off in Australia and all of the electronics went out. No one can get any money out of the ATM. Well, that'd be awkward. Perhaps, but if I was in Costa Rica, I've still got money over there, out of their banking system. If I was in Thailand, I've got a Thai bank account, just can't get over to use it. But that would sort of sense. And so it's been very interesting to have some of my clients shift their thinking about what life means to them, and hedging their bets a little, but at the same time, we should be able to make opportunities to invest in these other countries, because Australia, Canada, the US, those markets are fully full, they're fully priced. And so when a market is fully priced, and I'm in stock market and property market, in the Western world, they're full. There's more chance of them going down than up. Whereas if you went to somewhere like Mexico, Costa Rica, some of the African countries, and maybe even some of the Eastern Bloc European, their markets haven't really moved up and escalated yet, because global money has always been elsewhere. So that might give you a better hedge, right? And so these people are going like, they were moving for political reasons, but we made sure that we thought about, if they were going to shift money, how we could also make money or position their money so that they're not losing out of not being invested somewhere they would have access to it. So, mate, it's been really cool, actually. I've been really enjoying the research to do this. it's amazing. It's not actually super easy. Governments aren't being really loose on at the moment. That's a bit of a shift coming through, perhaps, but still legally possible to do in a lot of good, safe countries.